Before I give my concluding thoughts, I'd like to ask our experts again for their last, thoughts for today.
Okay. Sige, so I'd like to share to you what my dad told me when I was young. Sabi niya, your when he plays mahjong, alam niyo yung mahjong, di ba? Okay, so nakaka-relate yung mga Chinese dito. No? So okay, so when you play mahjong, sabi niya sa akin, his goal is not to win. His goal is not to lose. So kaya nga ayaw siya katabi ng mga ayaw siya kalaro ng mga ng mga kalaro niya kasi ang tinitingnan niyang pizza yung mga pizza ng iba, hindi yung sa kanya. Okay, so I would like to relate that in my investment philosophy. So okay, so my goal always for my clients, every time I give an advice for my clients, sinasabi ko sa kanila, my goal for you is not to make a lot of money. That's not my job. That's the job of your business. Okay? My goal for you is to make consistent money. Okay, why is that very important? Because ang binabantayan ko, hindi yung return side. Ang palagi kong binabantayan, yung risk side. Okay? So before investing in anything, palagi niyong isipin, unang-una, ito ba yung profile niyo? Kaya niyo ba talaga yung volatility na yon? And number 2, wag lang palaging return ang tinitingnan nyo. Always make sure that you always look at the risk side. So, if you look at what the portfolio that I told you earlier, bakit 70% ang sinabi kong portfolio ko nasa bond? Kasi at the end of the day, ang goal ko is to protect my capital. Okay? And you do that by 2 ways. Understanding risk and return, and the best way to help you that is a good diversification. So each one of us here has your own profile. Some will be more risk taker than the other. No, but at the end of the day, all of us, I'm sure, you don't want to lose money. Okay, so put risk as part of your priority also. Thank you.
Thank you. April?
Okay, unfortunately, I don't have any anecdotes, but I will go back to what Charles said. No, when he began the talk, he talked about a lot of investors being impatient with the Philippines and actually starting or looking at the U.S. I just want to say that yes, I don't see anything wrong with investing in the U.S., but now may not be the best time to actually sell your Philippine stocks because the outlook or the outlook for the Philippines is actually better compared to the US. And yun na nga, I think as as a risk management strategy, ang gusto ko lang sabihin, bili kayo ng US, pero think of it more as a long-term investment. And make sure to use money that you won't need for the long term when you buy Philippine stocks. Kasi yun na nga, it's very attractive, but we don't know when it will go up. But now is the opportunity na hinihintay natin na makabili tayo ng mura. And ang maganda pa, may cash dividend. Dati wala, ngayon meron.
Saka malaki. Meron, saka malaki. Alright, thank you. So on my end, I'll try to summarize my key takeaways for the last 2 hours. So first, so can we show that slide? So I'm sure we all heard about diversification. Lahat naman tayo alam yan word na yan. But I believe like for most of us, a lot of us maybe, I would guess, are still heavily invested in local equities in particular. No? So this might be because of comfort or convenience, but I guess one point that we like to make is that there's always a place for other asset class in our portfolios. No? So the good thing is we have options in COL to be invested in other markets as well. So we think that for global equities, there's a place, long-term investment, as April mentioned, and the key is to do it slowly. Kasi currently, there's a lot of uncertainties. It's might be bad or scary in the short term, correct? But also, as Melvin mentioned a while ago, it's also an opportunity. Diba? So when the dust settles, we hope that we are also able to participate going forward for the next leg, whenever that may be. No? So diversify, slowly move away. You could slowly buy into global equities. All right. Next point is that we think that bonds would also benefit in the coming months for the rest of the year. We talked about the potential slowdown in the US, the rate cuts, diba? All the uncertainties with the tariffs, potential recession, right? And that all points to lower interest rates. So bonds would be a key beneficiary. So that's also an important part of your portfolio, not only to minimize risk, but also to get some capital appreciation potential. So there's also an opportunity there. And lastly, and definitely not the least, we think that local equities might finally be the time, no, for local equities to outperform our global peers, no. So key reasons why we think so. Number one, we are more resilient, diba? So mainly we're primarily a domestic driven economy, local consumption lang. Our exports are mostly services, diba? OFW, remittances, these are services. These are not. There's no tariffs there, at least for now, right? So our basically it's our time to shine, diba? If for the longest time, I know we've been talking about, diba, Philippines has been cheap forever, but nobody wants to buy us. Maybe in this environment, we could be more attractive now because of how our economy works, right? Number two, valuations. I'm sure you've heard of that, low valuations for the longest time. But again, the key is, as we've talked about, low valuation means low expectations. So that's the good thing about the Philippines. So any good event, di ba? Lahat ng tao scared of elections, okay lang yan. Alam na natin yan, di ba? But what if walang mangyari? Di ba? Or what if may FDI from a very low base? What if FDI continues to grow? Di ba? What if some of the factories come in? Low expectations. So a little, it won't take much for expectations to change, as evidenced by the July last year, the rally until the end of the year, no? And third point, I think also equally very very important, no? Dividends. Matagal na tayong mura, but the difference today is that even if we don't appreciate, let's say we don't appreciate, there's no capital appreciation, at least we are being paid to wait. You know, we have dividends 4-5% at the minimum. That's what we're gonna get. Right? Of course, syempre, the caveat there is make sure we buy companies that are yung walang pababang earnings, di ba? So make sure the earnings are still solid, right? As long as earnings are growing, even small growth, even no growth, basta steady lang, the dividends will be sustained, di ba? And then we'll be able to collect our dividends, right? So those are my key takeaways. No, so I like just to clarify. I want to show the next slide. Because a while ago we talked about, like, you know, positioning, diba? And the title of this program is Local, Global, How Do We Position, right? So just to add a little bit more clarity, you know. So for this chart, I'd like to explain, no. So because the problem is, the challenge is that all of us might all have different portfolios today, diba? And although we mentioned na we prefer bonds, we prefer global, or hindi we prefer local, but there's a place for global equities. We don't do it, we can't just change overnight. We don't go na, let's say, ngayon, benta natin, you know, 70% ng Philippines and then just move everything to global or to the fixed income, diba? So for example, if you're mostly in equities, try to add bonds in your portfolio slowly. You don't have to buy all 70% overnight, diba? If you don't have any today. Of course, if you already have a bit, then you can increase that a bit further. Right? Does that make sense? Right? And then in terms of local and global equities naman, it's the same case. If you're mostly in local equities, you can slowly accumulate global equities. No reason to rush. If you're mostly on global equities, for example, napabili kayo because of all the hype the last few years, we definitely advise returning back to the local market, no? At least a part of your portfolio. Diba? So you can take a look at this. So we're trying to make it more personalized for each and every one of you. All right. So I think that's the end of this part of the program. No? So I hope that you found the last 2 hours fruitful. Let's all thank our experts again. April, Melvin, thank you. Thank you to our audience as well.